Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. We are here for another news show. Julian is joining me today for the show. Now, you would have immediately noticed that we're not in the studio. We're both at home at the moment. I'm in the home studio. Julian's at his house. And the reason why that is, if you outside the UK, you might not know, but if you're in the UK, you'll know that today is a bank holiday. So basically, it's a day when everybody has that day off. I haven't had it off. This is like my third video for the day, but all the rest of the guys are off today for that bank holiday. Actually, normally we'd probably be at the carnival. Well, I'd be at the carnival. You have a bit of the carnival, Julian?
I have been. I think I've been 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
but it's not something I go to every year. But I enjoyed it when I went.
I missed the carnival. I really, really missed the carnival. And back by popular demand, should I say, we have Julian.
Yeah, I thought it was unpopular demand.
I know. I was reading. I saw this comment here. Oh, we got to get him up on screen. Polski Cernik, he says, stop getting Julian on AFTV. There are many great opinion makers out there who are way better. Hire them and get rid of him and Ty, unless you're solely a business and don't give a damn.
I'll just leave now then.
I love that. They don't always like. I note there that it's 2 people that always try to be positive in you and Ty that he doesn't seem to like. But listen, it's all about differing opinions here on AFTV, and that's what we love about it. And we've got quite a lot of subjects to touch on tonight.
Sure.
The first one I'm going to jump into, Julian, which has been the big story of the day. Now, of course, tomorrow the transfer window shuts. It's the last day of the summer transfer window. Don't I know about it? I've been doing Transfer Daily every day since June, but it's the last day of the transfer window. And of course, players going out, players coming in. We haven't really heard many rumors of players coming in. Now, a big rumor of a player going out today was for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and the club that wanted him was Everton. Everton wanted to take him on a season-long loan, I think with an option to buy it at the end of it as well. However, there was a lot of talk around earlier on that it was going to happen. However, it's not happening. Arsenal are keeping him. I spoke to some representatives of Ainsley earlier today, actually, when it was all sort of kicking off, and they said to me at the time that Arsenal have said to Ainsley, we want to keep you. But then Ainsley put out this message on his Instagram where it says, and I'll quote it here, he says, all I want to do is go where I'm wanted and where I'm going to play. And then he's added Arsenal in it, and he's put like 3 emojis there where he's sort of, covering his face. Obviously very unhappy that he hasn't been able to get that move. And I wanted to get your view on it. It's caused a lot of debate today. A lot of people saying things like, Mikel Arteta is not handling these players right. Mikel Arteta again seemingly falling out with a player. Has Mikel Arteta ruined Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Remember, in that FA Cup run when we won the FA Cup final, Ainsley Maitland-Niles arguably one of our best players. At a time, I thought to myself, it was between him and Bellerin battling it out for that right-hand side. And then all of a sudden we brought in Cedric, which I've never been able to work out, which has lessened his chances. There was always these rumors sort of lingering around where he didn't want to play as a right back. He wanted to play in midfield. That's where he wanted to play. But I've said this before on this show. I've spoken to his representatives before, and they've said, no, Robbie, he was asked a question in an interview, what's your favorite position? He said midfield. He never, ever once said he didn't want to play as a right back. And he's also said before, and the rumors are is that he said to Mikel Arteta when he came back to Arsenal, I want to play as a right back. He's not even asking to play in midfield no more. I want to play as a right back, but he never seems to play as a right back. And we saw on Saturday what our right back did.
Yeah.
That second goal, I watched it again today. Cedric, what was he? Why did we get Cedric when we had, him here in the first place? So you can understand why he's sounding a bit disgruntled at the moment, Julian. Yeah,
look, he obviously is disgruntled. To put that out is poor show as far as I'm concerned. If Arteta has come back and said, I don't want you to go, then that surely reinforces to him that he's wanted. So why then would he come out with that? He's pretty much undermining the manager that he may well be playing under for the next season. It could be,
but that tells you about how he's feeling, though, doesn't it, Julian? He's obviously feeling.
And unless he thinks that Arteta's not going to be there for the next game, it could be that. It could be that they've got to the stage where they think he's gone, so we can say what we like. Or
so you think he's a bit out of order for coming out and saying it?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, that's his boss that he's undermining. So he's either thinking that the guy's gone, or he's helping the guy to go, because everything's conspiring against Arteta at the moment. Anything that could have gone wrong this season up to now has gone wrong for him, and that just rubs salt in the wounds. Yeah,
but don't you think? I'm looking on it another way. Julian, you're saying that almost like he shouldn't be coming out and saying this, but it sounds to me like he's so frustrated that he's not been given a chance. As I said, he was the standout player in that FA Cup run, right? One of him and Aubameyang for me, standout players, right? And then he's not been given a chance after that, and then he's come back. We've got a problem in that right back area.
We absolutely have.
We played Cedric, we played Bellerin, we played Chambers. He's not getting a look in. So he's thinking to himself, well, a club like Everton are coming in for me now.
Yeah.
I want to play football. Funny enough, as I remember right at the start of the transfer window, he goes, I'd really like my future decided. You know what I mean? I want to know whether I'm staying at Arsenal to fight for my place or am I going? I'd love to get it sorted out right at the start of this window. And now we're like a day before the window closes. He's got an opportunity to go somewhere and play week in, week out. So you've got to understand the frustration if they're saying, right, no, you're staying. Obviously, it sounds to me like they've not given him any assurances on what he'll be doing. And I'll give you another reason for his frustration, Julian. He was playing at right back for Arsenal and got into the England squad.
Yeah.
And then he's been messed around since then, and now he's nowhere near it. You can understand why this guy's frustrated.
Yeah. Well, he obviously is frustrated. Whether I can understand it or not, he's obviously frustrated because he's come out publicly and made that statement. If I was him, I'd look at this as an opportunity. As you quite rightly said, the right backs up to this point haven't really covered themselves in glory. Both Chambers and Cedric, who I thought was an okay player till Saturday. On Saturday, I have to say I had that belief.
Do you think he's better than Ainsley? He's better than Ainsley for you?
Look, if you take Saturday's performance, then absolutely not. But form can be temporary. It's a lot to do with confidence. The whole team played badly. But one thing I would say for Maitland-Niles now, he's got a fantastic opportunity. And the other thing that Arteta's done by not letting him go, he must have, he's saying that he rates him because he's not letting him go. If he didn't rate him, he'd just let him go. So if I was Maitland-Niles, I would see this as an opportunity to get in that right back spot because there's other people that have played there this season have done badly. So there is an opportunity. And Arteta, and the other side of it is maybe Arsenal holding out and trying to push a bit of brinksmanship there, and they're just trying to push the price up.
It's a loan at the moment.
Yeah, but they're trying to get as much money as possible. So to say, no, I want you to stay is a good negotiating tool.
Okay, Vishwajit says, question to Julian. Has Arteta improved anything at the club from reputation, mentality, playing style and signings? Please elaborate.
Okay. If we judge him with what came before, I remember after the game in Baku, things were getting bad before then. Emery had a poor start, very similar to this season's start. I think we lost to Chelsea and Man City. And after that, we went on, and I think it was like an 18-game unbeaten run. And we were looking really good. I was really impressed. And then it just all fell apart. He he concentrated the efforts on Baku. That obviously didn't work out. That was a long way to go to see an absolute diabolical performance. And the next season started off in the same vein as Baku and went worse and worse. And by the end, I'm surprised how long he lasted. Then Freddie came for a few games. It didn't really improve. We had one game against West Ham. So if we judge it against how it ended, there was improvements. It's gone steadily downhill.
Which player has he improved?
That's a good question. I don't think any of them were playing great to begin with. I mean, that's the thing.
You know what? You could come back.
It was actually, for me, it was a great time to take Arsenal over. Things, I believe, had got to the bottom, and then he won the up. I think they all played much better for a time, and then it's gone back downhill again. It almost seems like you get a new manager, you get this spike. They get the best out of these players, and then it steadily goes downhill. We're seeing that again. I've never been one to advocate the kind of Chelsea way of doing things, that you just sack. But unfortunately, it seems to be the way to success. You get this spike. So if we judge it at this time, none of them look any better. If we judge it after a few months of him being there, they all look better.
Okay. Let's get this comment here. Bradsky James says, this all or nothing documentary is going to be hilarious and embarrassing at the same time. Performances on the pitch becoming a reflection of the boardroom upstairs. We're a shambles from the top. I'll tell you what, Amazon must be rubbing their hands. You know, the first 3 games, that alone is going to break box office records when they put that documentary out. Nobody needs to come and say, oh, AFTV, you're painting a picture. All right, go and watch that all or nothing thing when that comes out. It's the reality of where we are at the moment. This is what people are going to see. Guaki M says, if not Conte, what about AVB? AVB was fired by Marseille because he expressed his unhappiness with a transfer he didn't want. And he put hashtag AM in, Arteta out. I'm not too sure about AVB.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll have Conte though.
Yeah, I mean, AVB, Chelsea, then Spurs, absolutely disastrous.
Yeah, no chance.
Both of them. No, I'm not wanting him to get the match ball on disasters.
Same says maybe we'll only listen to buy offers for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, not for loans, because of our massive outlay. But if we won't sell him, any play him, I'm a bit confused with that. Yeah. When we've done the same with Kolasinac, Arteta's ego has no bounds. I think what he's trying to say, if we're not going to sell him, play him. He's playing. Explain to me why Kolasinac was playing. This is a guy that, you know, is supposed to be leaving and he's playing. Ainsley can't get a game.
Yeah, but Ainsley doesn't play at centre half. He could have played him at right back potentially.
No, but you know, nor does Kolasinac play as a centre half, and he's playing as that third centre back.
Yeah, he has played at centre half. I mean, I looked at the team on Saturday. I think we got the team about an hour before. I was confused, but I was trying to think, what is the rationale behind it? All I could think of was that the centre forwards and at Man City aren't particularly tall. I don't think they even had a centre forward on the pitch. And maybe he thought, well, I've got a couple of tall centre halves. I need someone a little bit quicker to mop up. But that obviously didn't work out either.
Yeah, I mean, this is another comment here from Liam Willis. He says, Guendouzi, Celiba, Ozil, players not getting a decent run in the team. Common denominator, Arteta, he has to go. Guendouzi and Celiba, I won't even. I know. I see you. I see you. As soon as you heard the word Ozil, I know you're an Ozil hater, but I see
I was never a hater. I think the first ever interview I ever did, or the second one, we talked about Ozil and my feelings on him, and I said that for me, a footballer's performance relies on ability, which Ozil had. I think you asked me to grade it. I gave him an 8 or 9, at times a 10. His ability was fantastic, but the other two determinants of it were attitude. I thought he had a disgracefully poor attitude, and work rate. And if any one of those are 0, for me, it was a calculation. So you could have a 10 for skill level, but then if the work rate was 0 or the attitude was 0, then the whole performance would be 0. So I totally disagree with that. Ozil wasn't given an opportunity. I think Ozil.
Okay, but on the case, in the case of Guendouzi and Celiba, those two players at the weekend were they put it out today. The team of the week in Ligue 1, right? Yeah. And they're in it.
Okay.
Celiba, the guy who we've not given, not we, Mikel Arteta has not given him a chance. He's not even given him this season, pre-season, and said, let's take a look at you, lad. He didn't give him a chance. He sent him on loan now. He had a good loan period at Nice last year. Now he's on loan at Marseille, and he's in the team of the week. And Guendouzi, he was in it and scored. And it begs the question now when we're seeing Ainsley Maitland-Niles saying similar things like, I'm not giving... Has he lost the dressing room? Is he not getting, does he not know how to handle these young players? Because the thing is about it, right? As I always point out, this comment that a guy sent in to us, he said, Arteta is a young manager who's been given a chance, but he doesn't seem to give young players a chance. He doesn't seem to afford to other players what's been afforded to him, which is a chance.
Okay, so in any football team, it doesn't matter what the level you play at. There's 11 players. Only 11 players can get on the pitch. Mm-hmm. The Premiership teams now, Premiership clubs, have massive squads. There's always going to be players that aren't going to get a game unless there's injuries or suspensions. You have squads now of.
But you give them a chance, Julian. Before you go down that road, you give players a chance. You say, right, we've got this squad, but I want to have a look at the squad that we've got and see who merits a start. And I'm saying Celiba has not been given a chance. He's been in nearly 3 seasons now. He's played 1 pre-season game against MK Dons. That's not, come on, where's the chance that he's had? Ainsley Maitland-Niles has not been given a chance this season at right back.
But it's only been all right. So on the Ainsley Maitland-Niles one, I think I don't know what's in Arteta's head, but I would think that's why he wants to keep him. He's not going to. It kind of. I'm disappointed because it shows that to me that he's not going to be buying a dedicated right back. So that's why he wants to keep Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and I think that's exactly what he'll get. He'll get the opportunity to play at right back, and if he performs well, then great. If he doesn't, we've got real issues because we won't have any good right backs until at least January. On Guendouzi, he was given an opportunity. He was a player that I liked. I really liked him. There's got to be something that goes on behind the scenes because even that issue that happened against Brighton, I thought that was a good thing. I mean, with Malpe, he's kind of stood up. That's the attitude I like. I don't think, okay, there's always a fine line with discipline. And Arsenal's discipline, if you look at it, is worse than any other team, I think, since Wenger left. I think we've had 10 sendings off, and the team below that has only had 6. I think that's Brighton. And there's always a fine line. But I didn't have any real issues in what Guendouzi did against Brighton. I thought that showed passion. And it's something that we lack. On Celiba, there's nothing I can really say about Celiba because I've never seen him play. So I cannot form an opinion on Celiba because I've not seen the guy. I'm not hearing you. Can't hear.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute for some reason for a second. But okay. Sayat10 says, we as fans always use our history and fan base as reason on where we should be. But in reality, what really stops us from being a mid-table team. Well, what stops us from being a mid-table team is that and we're not just using that because we've never been a mid-table team, or not for a very, very long time.
It's not just about the history. It's not about the history at all. If you look at the positives of the club, the infrastructure that we have in place, when we have a 60,000-seater stadium, how many teams in the division have a bigger stadium than that? 2 or 3? Yeah. We're in London, so that means we should be able to attract better players. There's a lot of players that would rather be in London than be in Newcastle, for instance. That's no disrespect to Newcastle or Burnley or whatever, but London is one of the financial hubs of the world and entertainment hubs of the world. So we're in London. We have a magnificent stadium. We do have a magnificent history. We've got a brand. We're known throughout the world. It's not just about the history. The infrastructure we have in place should mean that we perform at a much higher level than we have been.
No, 100%, 100%. Another comment here. Bob says you guys were crying. Give Balogun, Martinelli, and so a chance. But when they got their chance, they could not do anything against Brentford. And then you start blaming Arteta. Now, I didn't blame Arteta at all for the Balogun thing because Balogun was thrown in. Actually, so let me explain to you where my thing will be with Arteta. Balogun was thrown into the deep end in that game, and it was a tough game for him, tough night. It didn't really work out for him. Martinelli, as we know, had only just come back from the Olympics, had to come straight into the team. Didn't really have a great game. Probably he's a bit knackered at the moment. He's not even had a pre-season. He's not had a rest. However, where I would have a go at Mikel Arteta is last season, he didn't give Martinelli enough chances, and there were games where he could have played Balogun more so that they wouldn't be just jumping into the deep end now. So again, I just look on it and just say, the management of these players just, when you look at certain things, Xhaka, look at him at the weekend. Now, this is a guy that he has given an opportunity to. He's forgiven him. You're talking about Guendouzi attitude.
Yeah.
And, to be fair to you, you're saying, listen, you don't have a problem with some of the things he did.
No, I haven't got any problem at all with Guendouzi. I mean, I would have Guendouzi in the team. But what I'm saying is there must be something else going on other than the fact he had a pop at Malpay after the game. Who cares? Yeah,
maybe. I mean, look at this comment here. Luiz P says Arteta is a disgrace. He throws Pepe under the bus against Leeds away. He cuddles Xhaka after getting another red card away at City. It's a disgrace. Get Arteta out. Now, the reason why people talk about things like that is with Xhaka, the things that he's done, he's almost like it's easy to get rid of him. It's easy. You can say, first of all, with that, what happened with the shirt and stuff like that, and that when he stormed off the pitch and had a pop at the fans, that's an easy. That gives you a great reason to say goodbye. The fact that the man's had 11 red cards. That's it, and his performances over the past few years is enough for you to say, you know what? Nah, see you later. But he didn't. He kept hold of him again this season. The man was playing as a captain at the weekend. But no chance for Ainsley Maitland-Niles, no chance for Guendouzi, no chance for Celiba. How does that... I just... Those are the things that, me and a lot of other fans find very difficult to comprehend.
Okay, on the Xhaka discussion, you're not going to get any argument from me at all. I've never, ever been a fan of Xhaka. I keep trying to make jokes because I remember once we were talking, you called him the rock in midfield, and I'm always trying to think of other expressions involving a rock. I think I said once that I thought that was unfair to Xhaka because he's slightly more mobile than a rock. He's got rocks in his head. There was certain plays on that, but I'm not a fan of Xhaka at all. I don't understand it. If I'm going to criticise Arteta, one of the reasons I'd criticise him is on Arteta. But the biggest thing for me on that, regardless of the fact that I don't actually rate him as a player, is I can't think of any business in the world where you can tell your whole fan base to F off and you still keep your job. I mean, can you think of any business where an employee could get away with that? He didn't do it to one or two, he had a bad day. He managed it. It was a televised game. The ground was full. He told the whole fan base to F off in one go. And not only did he keep his job, but he's got a new contract out of it. So just on that one aspect alone, I'd have got rid of him. There's no argument from me about Xhaka. I'm not a fan.
By the way, Jis guy there, Jid32 says Xhaka was 26-year-old being abused by thousands of fans your age, and he's a bad guy. So abuse isn't a problem. The problem was the reaction.
Okay, if I can just answer that one, and I was at that game.
So was I.
Yeah. So what happened? And I remember this exactly. He wasn't being abused by the fans. What happened was we were losing that game or drawing that game, but we needed to get him off quickly and get the sub off. Now, what he cared about that day was him. He didn't care about the team. He walked off. He gave it the attitude, the slow walking off, so that he was making a really big thing about it. It was only at that time the fans started giving him abuse.
Hold on, Julie. He was getting booed before that. There was a section of fans. I'll tell you what happened is that what happened was when his number came up, there was a section of fans that booed. Not the whole crowd, a section of fans that booed. And then he took exception to that. And that's why he was deliberately walking off slowly. And like you said, all about him. And that's when everybody started getting on his back. And, I'd agree with you on that, Julian. And he was out of order that day. And I think the thing that I didn't like about it is that he never came out after the game and apologized. He cited lots of other things. And, listen, and don't get me wrong, we know about abuse. It happens. I get abuse. Yeah, and it's disgusting sometimes. But you can't react, can you? You can't just, what he did is he was a captain. He should have just come off the pitch and he could have afterwards come out and said how he felt and what he was going through. And I think his reaction at that time was really, really poor. Yeah. Is it Lil Brother says, Arteta is done out here. Just look at how many decisions he's got wrong in such a short space of time. Too many to list. How is he still in a job? I mean, Julian, we have to ask the question. If he was at any other top club in Europe, would he still be in a job today? He's lost his first 3 games, 3 defeats, no goals scored. To make it worse, and I'm sure you've had them coming at you as well, Tottenham. They're top of the league. They've won all 3 games. They haven't conceded a goal yet. The ultimate mind your gap thing's going on at the moment, right? How is he still in a job? When you add this on to the fact that we finished 8th last season, we had a poor preseason. I mean, he's very lucky at the moment to still be here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's lucky. I thought he would go after the semi-final. In fact, the interview that I gave after that semi-final, I couldn't see that he would last that out. The fact that they backed him, they've spent money with him, you'd say that they've got to give him more than 3 games. But when I said, I think I was asked after the Brentford game, how long would you give him? I said 10 games. I think you have to give him 10 games. After Saturday, I wouldn't be totally shocked if he didn't last the week. I wouldn't be totally against it if he didn't. However, I still wouldn't want to see him get sacked. I think the fixtures we've got now, I think we have next game's Norwich.
Norwich next.
Is Norwich at home, which is very winnable. Then we've got Burnley away, which should be winnable. And then we've got the North London derby, and somewhere in between, we've got AFC Wimbledon. That's 4 games that we can win. I think that the one at the end against Spurs in that row, if we got 4 wins and one of them was against Spurs, I think all would be forgiven.
No. Not from me, it won't.
Okay.
Not from me, it won't. It'll still be a lot of. It will go some way to improving things, but I want to see.
It will keep him in a job. It would keep him.
I
in the
want to
job
see
for one of those
performances
4 games.
improve on the pitch is not what I'm seeing. TTM Pred says, and I think you can relate to this one, Julian. You know, me and you are the same age.
Yeah, I've seen the
It says
film.
TTM Pred says Leeds famously got rid of Brian Clough only after 40 days. It's not just 3 games; it's 18 months of this process.
Okay, well, on
a while.
Look, he has had a while. On the Brian Clough one, that was the players that got him out, not the fans. So I understand the comparison, but that was a very unique set of circumstances, and it was a player revolt, and they just refused to play for the guy, and he was out. Yeah. And look what happened to Brian Clough. Was that a good decision by Leeds to get rid of Brian Clough?
No.
So,
but it happens. Henry says it's not only 3 games. He should have been sacked after Villarreal.
Yes,
he only needed to win the game, and we had 1 shot on goal. That's the thing, you know. It's the performances. Lubert says, Robbie, a big club always sacks their managers if they want success, but our owners are clueless. If the owner sell everything, everything will fall. If the owner, I think he means sells, everything will fall into place, and Arteta and Edu will automatically be gone. I mean, the owners are sticking by him. They've given him a lot of money to spend this summer. You're citing other games there, but you know what it is with me, Julian? I'm not seeing the performances at the moment, and that's the thing that's worrying me. I mean, I was drawing a parallel with Wolves, who've also not won a game yet this season. But when I saw Wolves' game yesterday against Man United, you saw a performance.
Yeah.
You know, Wolves fans would have left that game and they would have said, you know, we should have won that. They would have moaned about the fact that they should have had a free kick in the build up to United's goal. They would have said, you know what, I can't even fault my players, man. They gave everything, man. We were unlucky. But with us, in all 3 games, we have been dreadful.
Okay.
The performances have been poor. The performances last season on the whole were poor. So at the moment, it's very difficult to hold on to anything and say, oh, you know what? That's going great, or that's in all areas of the pitch. At the moment, it's poor.
Okay.
And that's why, at the moment, a lot of people are calling for his head.
Yeah, look, I understand that. Again, I go back to Saturday. It was just indefensible. It wasn't a case of there was one thing wrong. I think against Chelsea, I cited that there was 2 moments where we switched off. And because of that, we let in 2 goals. I think Saka for the first one. For the Man City game on Saturday, you could talk about it for days. We didn't stop talking about it, did we? We didn't leave Manchester till about 8-9 o'clock that night, and there was only one subject of conversation. The performance was very poor, which means that, you know, I wanted him to have 10 games, but if the Norwich game doesn't see an improvement, and a very big improvement, then I would advocate that I think it's time to go. The argument now is that if he went now, I wouldn't be overly disappointed.
Let me run through a few of these super chats here. Thiago Silva says, if you can only work with model professionals, then you're not a good manager. Cantona had a bad attitude, but Sir Alex Ferguson still made it work. That's what man management is about. That is an unbelievably good point that he makes there. Jack Lewis says, it annoys me that Kolasinac played centre-back instead of Tierney, and Nuno, who looks good, didn't play left-back. Why didn't Sambi play? Arteta doesn't make good decisions when it comes to youth. Arteta out. Again, he makes good points there. If you're going to play a back 3, why not play Tierney there and Nuno Tavares outside him? You know what I mean? Why did we buy... You know, why was Sambi Lokonga, who's one of our best players against Chelsea, and it was hard to pick any that were any good, why didn't he not play in the game? Again, I still can't work it out. Marish says Norwich City played 3 teams, Liverpool, Manchester City and Leicester City, and scored 1 goal and are above us in the table. So hold on. The next game is he's thinking it's equal. And, you know, their start has been harder than ours.
Yeah.
You know, when you check it out, that is a harder start than what we have. You know, don't get me wrong, we've had a hard start. Don't get me wrong. There's been mitigating circumstances a little bit because there's been players missing, but there's no mitigation for the terrible performances. Charles Levy says Arsenal has built its squad around players that were on their way out. What do you expect? Their heads have gone, but Arteta cannot see this. He's clueless again. You know, literally, White Yardie said it this morning when we did the Bias Premier League show. He goes, basically, that's last year's team still playing. Okay, why?
All right, there was a lot of different comments there. The one that I remember was the first one about Cantona and Ferguson. And you're quite right that Ferguson did get the best out of Cantona, but he also didn't get the best out of a few other players at Man United. One of them that I remember that I thought was going to be a world beater was Lee Sharp. You know, for every one you get right, you get one wrong. It's very easy to look back, especially in history.
Yeah, but these guys getting a lot wrong. Julian, he's getting a lot of them wrong. He's getting a lot of them wrong, right? Guendouzi, yeah, Torreira, right? You know, what was the other one I was going to say? Saliba. Now today, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. That's another. Ainsley Maitland-Niles now has come out again today. That's another one. How many more is he going to get wrong?
Okay, on Ainsley Maitland-Niles, he could be putting him. He might be playing right back against Norwich, and he might have a storming game. And then what? And because of this tweet that he's put out or Instagram post, then that's forced his hand. He's obviously upset. I mean, the boy's upset. So he's not getting a game. He's frustrated, but ultimately, he's signed a contract for Arsenal. Arsenal as employers. If Arsenal don't want to let him go, in a nice way, that's not his choice. He's under contract to Arsenal. He should do the best for Arsenal, not put himself first. But I do understand why he's frustrated. Every player wants the best for himself. Of course he does. And I'm hoping that it will, you know, he'll come, play right back, he'll have a storming game, and then it'll be great for him and it'll be great for the club.
Right. Joe Willock's another one. You know, that I've just been hearing, you know, but someone's not that he fell out with him, but you know, he's another player that he's moved on. Jift 32 says everyone has an opinion about lineups and how Arteta gets it wrong, but I can guarantee you that if you guys and fans drafted your best lineups, they would all be different. It's easy to be an armchair manager. I can guarantee you. Yeah. I can guarantee you, Jiff, yeah, that if Julian, me, you, and we picked so we picked 10 people. We picked 10 people on Saturday and we said, draft your lineup. Not one of them would have had Kolasinac starting in that lineup. And yet still, he went with that. And those are the players that let him down. The same guys. And that's why he's got to take a lot of stick for what happened on Saturday. I mean, he said after the game he's to blame. He is to blame. He is to blame. You know, Shivang says managers are judged on the basis of matches against good teams. Arteta more poor than Emery. Emery got to Europa final and 5th with 1 point of 4th, even though he didn't get his transfer targets. There's no excuses for him even in the transfer window. He spent 130 million, Julian.
Yeah, he spent the money, but I think every one of those signings has been positive. I think each one, I don't have an issue with any one of those signings. The Ben White one, yes, I believe he's overpaid slightly, but that's the English tax.
Did we need him?
I'd say absolutely after Saturday.
So, Julian, this was the thing that when we first signed Ben White, and I was having a bit of a problem with, and people had a go at me. I wasn't having a go at Ben White. I think Ben White is a good signing. When I've spoken to my mates who support Leeds, they're always bigging him up. Me and you was at the semi-final of the Euros, and that guy who stood in front of us, that Brighton fan, he was singing
raved about the whole of half time.
Yeah, I'm happy that we've signed this guy, but with the funds available, the fact that we had Celiba there, who's also a very talented young player, who's also doing very well, I was like, well, why didn't we maybe give him a chance if we've got limited money and use that money, that 50 million we paid, maybe use the 40 and go and get Basuma. That's what I was saying. That's all I was saying. But as it turns out, maybe we should have got both. We should be getting Ben White and Basuma. And I'm telling you one thing, I'm really now thinking that it was a mistake, unless we get another centre-half in, to get rid of David Luiz, because David Luiz, and I said this last season, and I, again, got a bit of grief about it, but David Luiz is miles better than Holding, and he's miles, excuse me, miles better than Chambers as well. And he's miles better than Kolasinac. And those three are now that we got playing. We may as well have kept David Luiz. He's miles better than them. He's more physical. He's better. You know, that ball wouldn't have fallen over his head like what happened to Chambers. No. His passing range is way better than all three of them, right? I would have kept him over any of those three, especially Kolasinac, right? If he's going to be playing as a centre-back.
Yeah, look, he's an excellent footballer, and I'd like to have kept him. However, time doesn't stand still for anyone, does it? I mean, how old was he? How old is he? 35, 36 now? He's getting to that age where you do need to replace him at some point.
Of course. He's not
the answer. And what he's done, when we all talked to on the transfer window, if you get a transfer, you want someone that's going to be better than what you've got. And David Luiz was a fantastic player. He's still a fantastic player, but his performances, due to age, are declining. It's diminishing. Every game, he'll be that much worse. Whereas Ben White's a young player. So yes, Ben White is an upgrade.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I don't have an issue with Ben White. Every single one of those players they've brought in, all five of them, I've approved of. I don't think anyone's really slated in them. I think the signings have been good. It was a shame more of them didn't play on Saturday. But I think we also get fixated on the players that are on the pitch, and we think just because we swap a player over, if we took Kolasinac out of the team and put Mari in, that would have been the answer. I don't think it's about the individual players. I think each one of those players should be of a standard to have done a lot better than what we saw. It's the tactics and the strategy. And what I thought, I was asked after the game by James, goes, well, what's the positives? Come on, Julian, you're going to come out with some positives. And the positive that I thought I was going to go with, I actually changed my mind and went into a negative, which was that first 7 minutes. You know, the crowd was up. We were all infused. They played, I perceived they played really well for that first 7 minutes.
No, they did. And the problem with it is that, and I said, I feel sorry for our attacking players, because when they look back and they see our defenders so easily just give goals away, it gives them no chance to do anything. You know, I mean, I actually felt sorry for them. Same Jay says, no amount of signings is going to improve us if Arteta is in charge. Because for the most part, fantastic players in a crap system don't deliver results.
Well, and again, that's exactly the point that I was going to come on and say, is that first 7 minutes, we were probably naive. Maybe we shouldn't have gone so gung-ho in those first 7 minutes. And it didn't really matter the players on the pitch. We might have had world beats on the pitch, but if you don't have a strategy and you don't have an effective game plan, then you're not going to win games, regardless of who you have, regardless of the signings. We just love these new shiny signings. You know, we're all after something different. Let's swap this one for that one. But ultimately, if they're not playing the right game plan, they're not going to win. How often have you seen teams that are inferior come to Arsenal and frustrate us?
At the moment, every week.
Well, yeah, but even when we were the Invincibles, even our most fantastic teams, we had teams. I remember a game against Crystal Palace during the Invincible season, and I think Gramondi scored, and we struggled. That they put literally 11 players behind the ball, and they really struggled. And they weren't a good team. Palace were really, really poor, but they had a plan, and we don't seem to have that kind of plan. It reminds me, there was a statement, I think. Nobody
needs to put 11 players behind the ball at the moment. Nobody needs to do that, because it's very easy to play against Arsenal. That used to be the only way to get a result against Arsenal, is just put 11 players behind the ball and then hope that, you get a breakaway goal or a set piece and
Yep.
you get a goal. Now teams are coming to the Emirates and they're sticking it on us because they don't rate us. Eric says Holding, Chambers, Kolasinac, Xhaka, El Neni, Bellerin should all have left by this summer. Now imagine the paradox here. Saliba, Torreira, Guendouzi, Ainsley, Willock, Nketiah, and Reece are all the rejects now. And he makes a really fantastic point. Your mama says, I always defended Arteta, even against my better judgment. But the day he took off Aubameyang for Willian against Villarreal, I remember that.
Yeah,
he lost me. The guy has to go. I remember that. That's enough.
but there was a reason for that at the time.
What reason?
He had too many strikers on the pitch. I mean, it was the last few minutes. Aubameyang hadn't really done anything. All right, he hit the post, but he should have scored. It was all about...
We're trying to win the game.
Yeah, of course.
You mean too many strikers on the pitch? We're trying to win the game.
Yeah, but you put them all in one area. If
he just hit the post.
He missed. So if everyone's in the same area, you've got no one to play the ball in. You've got to...
Okay, he made that great decision, and what happened? We went out.
Okay, we went out. We did go out. So ultimately, he got it wrong.
He got it wrong. Pierce says, I'm a Liverpool fan, and our owner won't spend. So forget about blaming Kroenke. Get a better football director and rebuild. Still waiting for a Ty interview after the City game. Loved on Robbie Channel. Thank you very much, sir. Ty was on the coach, so we couldn't get him. Liverpool don't have to spend as much as us because Liverpool have got an excellent team. So,
complaining about.
There's not a lot to spend at Liverpool, really. You know what I mean? And let's be real, when they have made signings in recent times, they've made an impact. Look at Jota. And that guy's coming. He's been absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? So I think, I get it. I do think Liverpool probably do need to spend a little bit more just to freshen up their team, but it's freshening up. Our team needs major surgery. And, so AS says, Robbie, I agree, Luiz. He has the physique and ability to handle a Lukaku. If you see how Virgil van Dijk and Matip dealt with him, they backed off, waited for him to take a touch, and then out-muscled him and nicked it. Now, I'm not saying David Luiz would have been able to handle Lukaku. I'm not saying David Luiz is the answer. But what I'm saying is he's better than the ones that are left. He's better than them. He's better than Holding. He's better than Kolasinac. And he's definitely better than Chambers as well. Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying.
And he was also more likely to be spending time with Xhaka in the changing rooms, getting sent off.
Yes, he did get sent off a lot. Listen, he weren't the one. He's not the answer.
He was good. He was good, but you can't.
He's better than what?
But you can't base a team on an aging player, and that's what it is. He was coming to the end of his career. Whether it would be this season, maybe we would have got half a season out of him. His performance was diminishing, so I kind of agree. At some point, whether it be keep him for one more season, his performance have to diminish. We can't fight. We can't fight time. His career's coming to an end.
Yeah, Duoplex 1 says Arsenal decline started with the departure of Dean and the arrival of Kroenke. 100%. Football is now a game of billionaires. We need an owner that cares. Let me repeat that part, what you just said, because I always believe that. We need an owner that cares. An Arsenal men on the board. The manager comes last. And to be honest, right, I mean, Mikel Arteta's picking up a load of stick, but these owners, if they did care, surely you wouldn't have handed the job to a manager that's never, ever managed before and bring him in and give him such a difficult... Because remember, it's not just the fact that it's a high-profile job. It's a difficult job to try and rebuild a club like Arsenal after you've had a manager that was in charge for about 20 years, a legendary manager. There was always going to be this downturn afterwards, but not... I never thought it would be... this is of epic proportions now. It's terrible. Maher says, I saw the clash between Chelsea and Liverpool. It reminded me of the Man United versus Arsenal clash of old. What passion, what commitment. Now Arsenal, that game, Norwich coming up.
Yep.
They are going to be looking at us and thinking points, aren't they?
Yeah, but every team coming to play Arsenal or playing any team is coming to win or at least draw or not lose. So that's just an obvious statement. You know, they're not.
No, but
none of these teams come to. Yes, they think that they've got a chance, but Arsenal need to be thinking positively as well. And there is so much negativity about at the moment. You know, I wish the international break hadn't come at this point. I mean, for me, it's the worst thing. 2 weeks of nothing. There's going to be nothing positive unless we make some unbelievable signing.
Unless we make an unbelievable signing.
Yeah,
unbelievable signing.
We've got 2 weeks not to be able to redeem ourselves.
Pothead says this is what Arsenal gets for forcing out a legendary manager, I guess. Again, I've been heard this one. Listen, let me put this one to bed. Again, he was Arsene Wenger, legendary manager, still is a legendary manager, but his time had come. And I felt that, again, this is where the owners got it wrong. I was discussing this with a friend earlier on today, Julian, right? We cannot afford to let this thing that I'm going to say happen again. There's been managers out there that we've let go because we've held on to managers that weren't doing a good job at the time. Klopp was available. We kept hold of Wenger. Guardiola was available. We kept hold of Wenger, right? Allegri was available. We held on to Emery. Now Conte is available. We're holding on to Arteta. If we miss out on another elite manager, it will be the 4th time that there was an opportunity that existed out there to say, right, you know what, we're going to go big and get one of these elite managers in and say, come on here, rebuild this back. But it looks like we're doing it again. Conte's out there now. He's sitting down. He's doing nothing. Go and at least approach him and make him an offer and say, you know, let him turn us down. Let him turn us down. But he's out there, and we've done this before, and we've let these elite managers go. And if we do it again, you know, we're going to be back to square one. And I just feel that we cannot afford to let this opportunity go. You know, I don't know how many more games you give Mikel Arteta. I hate talking about sacking managers. I really like Mikel Arteta. I really want him to succeed. But even more than him, I want the club to succeed. And if it's time to press the trigger, we have to press the trigger. But that's obviously not down to me. Let me do a few more of these chats before I get back to you, Julian. Red Square says, Basuma reminds me of when we could have got Kante. That's another one. But we didn't. And we regretted it ever since. Every pundit says he can play for a Europa team, 100%. Global SX says, Robbie, we know all this. Arteta and Edu constantly making mistakes. But the real question is, what do we do to get Arteta out from ranting? But it's not down to us. It's down to, you know, fans can make their opinions heard, but it's down to the owners of the club who decide whether the manager goes or not. To be fair, they need to go before him. Fat Kebab 11 says, I can't believe I'm having thoughts about this club falling so far down the table in seasons to come if things don't change dramatically soon, that it'll be too late. And that's another reason why I'm saying, personally, I'd be looking at making changes right now. Akil says, dream scenario, get Conte, recall Celiba, get Ainsley Maitland-Niles to play right back, buy Basuma, get Wilshere as a backup. Wow, he's dreaming. And let people know the meaning of what it is to play for Arsenal. Jack Wilshere knew that was for sure. Cobby Spark says, can someone tell Arteta to stop asking players to stop asking the players to cross the byline? It does not create chances. Watch closely. Even Pep doesn't do that. There have been people saying that he doesn't. Well, you said it earlier, isn't it? We don't get enough players into the opposition box.
Yeah, but we also don't have the right players to do it. I mean, that's something I would change, is to get a target man in. I think that if we were going to change a player, I would want a big centre forward. I've been a big advocate of Calvert-Lewin to come in, but then you actually play to his strengths, because you're right, you're crossing the ball into no one. What's the point of that?
The thing is, as well, all these Calvert-Lewin, why would Calvert-Lewin want to come to Arsenal right now? That's the thing as well. And this is why I feel the job needs to go to a big manager who can attract players, who can persuade players now. We've got to that stage, Julian, where it's going to come to, you're going to have to persuade players to come It's still a huge club.
Yeah,
It's still massive, and it can still come back. Look, listen. We saw with Liverpool, they were where we are, not bottom of the league, but they were in a really terrible situation,
and for a lot longer than us. A lot
longer than us. And
yep.
by getting a proper manager in, that changed their fortunes around. First of all, Brendan Rodgers came, did a good job, but they knew they needed that guy who could take it to the next level. That was Klopp. Look what he did.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But he did it with a change of style. It wasn't so much change of players. It was a much faster pace game. You got the ball forward a lot quicker. And this goes back to Arsenal's days. The style of play for me hasn't really changed that much. You're still kind of playing it sideways. You're playing from the back. You're playing slowly from the back. I don't have an issue with playing from the back, but get it forward quicker. You don't seem to have the players to hold it up. You hit someone like Calvert-Lewin who can flick it on for a fast player to go through. You need a physical presence. So I just think we do have the infrastructure. We've got the history. We've got the branding. We've got the stadium. It wouldn't take that much to make us into a very successful team again. We're not that far away. Vin33 says Arteta is the right man at the wrong time. He needed experience like Guardiola and Zidane, who both managed Barca and Real youth teams. We cannot afford a manager who's learning on the job, and he is learning on the job at the moment. Let me run through a couple of those things that you see running below there. Some of the other news, because there's so much on. Yeah. We're coming towards the end of the show, but Reece Nelson is joining Feyenoord on a season-long loan. I think that's going to be good for Reece Nelson. Definitely a player that needs game time, but Reece Nelson is joining Feyenoord on loan. Miguel Aziz, we all met his dad the other day when we went to the under-23s. He's joined Portsmouth on a season-long loan, so good luck to Miguel Aziz. Definitely a really talented player. Hopefully he can do a similar thing like with Emile Smith-Rowe did. Get real experience playing week in, week out. Very skillful, very talented player. I remember he scored that great goal in pre-season. And Willian is leaving. Willian is should be heading out to Brazil tomorrow to join Corinthians. Is that official?
It's more or less definitely done that Willian is joining Corinthians. He's tearing up his Arsenal contract. He's done Arsenal a big favour here. Said to be able to save Arsenal around about £20 million. So Willian is leaving. Does that open up space for maybe Mikel Arteta and Edu on the last day of the transfer window to go and make a really good signing? Something like you said, Julian, earlier, something that might excite us and take us out of the misery that we're going to be suffering for the next
at least the next 2 weeks. And is Norwich really going to, if we beat Norwich 5-0, is that going to change everything? But it's going to give us hope. It's going to give us hope, though.
And the games coming up after that, Burnley away.
But it's hard.
You know what they're going to be. They'll smell blood. They'll stick it up us, right? They're going to be on us hard. And then Tottenham.
Yeah, but we always raise
top of the league.
Yeah, but look, there's no open top bus parades for them just yet, is there?
No, it's true because you would have thought that the way their fans are carrying on.
It's 3 games. Yeah,
I saw expressions lifting up Billy Wingrove from F2, like where Billy Wingrove's a trophy now. You know what I mean? The Billy Wingrove trophy. He says, Mahesh says, I remember when people used to say, how can a big club like Liverpool not win the league for 30 years? We're not that far away from equaling that. And I think this is a troll. He says, I want Sam Allardyce as manager just to see Ty eat humble pie. It needs to be done for the science because the headphones always criticises Big Sam. That would be, if Big Sam come in, would Ty get behind him?
I think he would because he's been Arsenal manager, but I can't see Sam. He's retired anyway, so we don't have to worry about that.
Billy J says, David Moyes, West Ham is greater than Arteta. Look at the job he's doing, Moyes.
Yeah, I was thinking that today. I watched West Ham play.
It's something, when we're talking about management, right? Look at this guy Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel, who's coming at Chelsea. Now, I don't think a lot of people realise just how good a job he's done. It's not that he's coming in. All right, he's bought Lukaku, and he might be buying this guy Koundé, but he's made, Julian, the players that are there better. Let me run through a few players. I was thinking about it, right, when I was watching their game the other day. Rudiger. The Chelsea fans wanted him out. The Chelsea fans were saying he ain't good enough. He's turned him around. Christensen. They were like, oh, he's all right. He's turned him around. Marcus Alonso. Look how well he's playing. He wasn't even getting a match. People were saying he's crap. He should be out. He wasn't getting no game time under Frank Lampard. Jorginho in the midfield. Speak to any Chelsea fan about a year ago before Tuchel came. They were like, not good enough.
Yeah.
The other day, he got player of the season when they were doing the draw for the Champions League. That's the job that guy's done. He's turned it around with some of the same players that were being criticised. And this is why you need a good manager, an elite manager. I am convinced that if Antonio Conte, for instance, came in at Arsenal, there's certain players there. I mean, for instance, I think under Antonio Conte, someone like a Lucas Torreira would be a good player.
Yeah.
Would be a very, very good player. I'm not sure about players like Kolasinac and that. I think they don't matter, right? Kolasinac, but I think there's certain players in that team he would make a lot better. I think Antonio Conte got his hands on Bellerin would make him a much better player. So I'm just saying to myself, even with the team we've got right now, get an elite manager in, make him steady the ship, then give him a load of money next season, right, to really go at it. But at the moment, I'm not too sure under Mikel Arteta. I'm hoping and praying he can turn it around because it does look like he's going to get time. I think he might get a lot less time than we're all thinking as well.
Yeah. But
from what I'm hearing, I'm hearing they're not very impressed at all with what they're seeing. And looking at that league position, even the Cronkies are having their doubts at the moment. So, he's got to start turning it around and turning it around really fast.
Yeah. But look, if you look at Tuchel, he's been there 6 months now.
Yeah.
If you take out the season, he's done exceptionally well. But Arteta did exceptionally well in the first 6 months.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He won as a trophy. He didn't. He done exceptionally well in the FA Cup. We finished 8th in the league.
But he won as a trophy from a really poor position.
Right, in the league, he didn't do well. We finished 8th. Had it not have been for that FA Cup win, we wouldn't have made Europe. And then he followed it up with another 8th. And then he's followed that up with a new season, right? 3 defeats in a row with bottom of the table.
Yeah,
you're talking about
you want an elite manager.
Done exceptionally well, Julian.
I'm not saying he's done exceptionally well. But what I'm saying is Tuchel has done exceptionally well for the first 6 months. But let's judge Tuchel in a year or so. If you look at Conte, he won the league the first year with Chelsea, didn't he? He did exceptionally well. The second year, they were disastrous.
I'll take that.
I'd take that as well. But then you look at the league champions for the last 10 seasons. 7 of the last 10 have been what I call the sugar daddy teams.
Listen, as this guy says there, Original says he did dreadful in the European Cup. He won the European Cup, Tuchel, but forget that. Take that away for a minute. I want you to take away the cup. He got them in 4th. When they looked to be out of it, he got them into the top 4. And that's what I'm saying.
Exceptionally well. He did exceptionally well with the same players as Lampard.
Same players.
It just seems that you do get every manager comes in and you get this upside in performance. But the great managers are the ones that 3-4 seasons down the line, they're still playing great. So you look at the Fergusons, you look at Arsene Wenger, you look at George Graham. It wasn't just about the first 6 months. It was long-term. So if all you want is a short-term fix, then all you do is just keep changing the manager because you're always going to get that bounce.
Satyam says, love you guys, but I feel that we slander our players so much that they become non-sellable or sellable for peanuts or loans. Thoughts? Satyam, got nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with Julian, right? It's got everything to do with their performances on the pitch. Doesn't matter how much we slate a player, if they're playing brilliantly on the pitch, the people in the know. They see their performances, they see the stats, they see what they do, and they will be valued a lot of money and they'll be rated. But if they don't perform, which these players have been underperforming for a very long time, they're not going to get the ratings. So, but Julian, just going back to it, as I said, man, this sugar daddy thing and all that, yes, of course, money has a big impact. We've just spent 130 million.
Yeah.
Right? And we're bottom.
It's still, and it's poor. Our money that we've invested over the years, and I'm not talking about how much the Kroenkes have put in, I'm talking about the actual transfers that we've had and the club. We are underperforming, but it still cannot compete. Both of them, and it's coincidental, maybe, but both have now got a share capital, Chelsea and Man City, of £1.3 billion. 1.3 billion. It's state sponsored. How can you compete with that? So I think there has to be some kind of limits on this. Otherwise, all that we have is a situation like we have in France. The only difference being, instead of there being one team, you have two. Because you
guy who owns that club, Julian, he ain't exactly destitute out on the street, is he?
He's not.
He's one of the richest people around.
But he's in it for a different reason, which we'd love him not to be. But that's just the reality.
Then that's our problem, isn't it? Well, not ours. It's our problem that he's chose to go down that route, and the others have chose to put their money where their mouth is.
But it becomes pot luck. It doesn't become down to football skill. So it's just pot luck that Abramovich happened to want to buy Chelsea. It's pot luck that Man City were bought by who they were. I mean, Man City, when I used to go there, we used to be, I remember going there once, I think it was 2003. We were 4-0 up in 18 minutes. It was a joke club. That they didn't have the history. They didn't put the performances to warrant where they are today. All that happened is that an oil-rich nation came in and decided, right, they'll be our plaything. And that was it. It's entirely based on money, not tradition, not the performances on the pitch over 100 years. You go back and look at the difference between Arsenal Football Club and Manchester City. Our successful history starts back in the 1920s, 1930s, when Herbert Chapman came in. And it's throughout the history of our club. We have built Arsenal over 100 years. And that was completely wiped out by one oil-rich nation. It's not about football skills. It's entirely down to money.
Not an oil billionaire doesn't own Brentford, does he?
No, and
they still turned us over. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't. Yeah, you're right on a lot of those things, but I don't want to hear that right now because the performances are not good enough.
They're not.
We're still spending way, way, way more money than a lot of clubs, and we can't beat them.
After 3 games, and 2 of them were against the Sugar Daddy.
Not just after 3 games. Last season, we spent way more money than Leicester. They finished above us. Yeah. So, it's a bad situation.
It is a bad situation. But what I'm saying is there has been some mitigating circumstances, but not for where we're at. You can't mitigate against being bottom, but it is only 3 games. 2 of them have been against teams that I don't feel financially anyone can compete with, apart from PSG in the world.
Okay, I'm going to do the last couple because we've kind of run over time of the hour. Paul Surin says, guys, I get Arteta is struggling big time, but the players are employed by Arsenal and they should be put out their best, no matter who the manager is. And you're right there. But also the manager does have, his tactics and that does play a big part. It does play a big part.
Yeah.
Shivang says, people say Arteta has injuries. Is his team based on just 3 players? We have to replace the manager right now or more. And more good managers would not come. Aaron Wright says, shut up, Julian.
You want to put me on mute?
There were a few of those, but I just thought I'd just drop one in. Right.
Okay.
I love Julian's opinions, mate, because he doesn't just say, he says what he feels, and that's what we like.
What's the idea of AFTV?
Exactly. Dan says Arteta will get us relegated, then, Robbie. will realise that this process. Sorry, Arteta will get us relegated. Robbie will realise that that's the process Mikel was talking about. What were you trying to say? Listen, as I said right at the start of the show, I always hate having to talk about our managers in this way, you know. But I think he's very lucky to have started the season in charge. He's had 3 defeats in a row. If he doesn't win, I'd say he's got to win the next 2 minimum.
I think he's got to win the next 4.
Well, I'd say, you know what, you're right. He has to win the next 4. He has to win all 4 of them.
Yeah.
He has to win all 4 of them, or
I think he was.
What it is with me, Julian, and I know I've seen some people in the chat saying, "Oh, Robbie, but Conte won't come. Or Conte can't manage. He doesn't bring young players through. The young players are already through.
Yeah, he hasn't got a choice.
Yeah, Saka, Smith Rowe, they're all there already. He can make them even better. If the money's right, it will come. That's what I think. I think if the money's right, and also if he gets assurances, you know, he'd come. And I think, you know, we cannot afford to miss out on another one of those elite managers. That's what I'm thinking. Let me do this last one. HJ says it's not just potluck that Abramovich decided to buy Chelsea.
Rubbish, that statement.
They won almost a trophy every year leading up to Abramovich making an investment to buy.
Absolutely useless. When I used to go and watch them, they were in the. I think they're in the second division. That's total nonsense.
Julian, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on today.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it, especially on a bank holiday. Thank you to you guys. Sorry we weren't in the normal studio settings, but of course, as I said, today's a bank holiday in the UK, so got to give the guys some time off. I think nobody wants to work again after the weekend, but they'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, guys, make sure you keep it locked here on AFTV. We're doing a real special. In the morning, we're going to have Transfer Daily. Then in the evening, well, not just the evening, throughout the day, we'll be giving you updates on any transfers that we do. And then we're going to be going live in the evening here with News Daily for a very special Transfer Daily special. We'll be keeping you updated with all the incomings and any outgoings as well here at Arsenal. So you don't want to miss that. If you want to stay in touch with what's happening around Arsenal and transfers, keep it locked here on AFTV. Julian, thanks very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you to everybody who's been watching this stream tonight. Big yourselves all up. And let's see what happens tomorrow. Maybe a big signing to cheer us up. Thank you very much.
Hopefully.